Hey, hey. Hi, guys. All right, Virgos. Let's take a peek. Ooh, Virgo has Virgo sitting here. What's Virgo in deep thought over? Are they looking for answers? Are they reading up on something? Are they studying something? Or are they just withdrawing a little bit and thinking deeply? It definitely feels like Virgo has gone into their own world. Something is on their mind. I feel like this is something troubling Virgo. I don't know why. Page of Cups upright. Virgo's withdrawn, but somebody else feels like they owe Virgo an apology. Why? Four of Cups. This looks like somebody was not quite who Virgo thought they were. This looks like a disappointment. This looks like maybe somebody, I don't know. This feels like an illusion. It feels like Virgo feels a little tricked or something, or ill-used or something. Three of Wands in the reverse. We do have like happy birthday, and I'm just pointing this out because obviously, we're Leo season headed into Virgo. So for this storyline, it kind of seems like it's not about the future. It's about just right here and now. I almost feel like something's come to the end of a road, at the end of a line. Let's talk about that Page of Cups. Is this somebody who wants to give Virgo an apology, or is this somebody, Six of Swords? They chased off Virgo somehow, and they know it. Or maybe they disappeared out of sight from Virgo. Okay, hang on. Look, everybody's got to do what they got to do, right? But Five of Pentacles. It feels like they left Virgo kind of out in the desert hanging. They feel like they did that. I'm guessing Virgo kind of feels that way as well. Why is Virgo feeling left hanging? King of Cups, because there was warmth at one point. Okay, warmth and emotion, then that is kind of crummy. If you go from a King of Cups and you downshift to a Page. Ace of Wands, and it was enough to capture Virgo's interest, and Virgo paused and turned around. Yeah, if it almost feels like Virgo is saying, I was good, I was doing my own thing, but then there was you, and you captured my attention, and you called out to me, and you made me look your way. And why'd you do that if then you were just going to change your mind and drive off? It feels like somebody messed with Virgo's heart a little bit, wanted Virgo to want them, and then is disappearing on Virgo. Character, how do you feel about Virgo right now? The Sun sideways. Virgo somehow makes him happy, but also not. Why? Super happy and also super unhappy. Page of Swords in the reverse. Hang on, there's stuff they don't understand about Virgo, or there's stuff that is in their own life that's made them sad, that they just don't see a way through, or they don't, I don't know why, but they seem to be getting themselves hung up. They're stuck. They're stuck in their own mind, stuck in their own thoughts. Maybe they're like, Virgo's so good at being, extroverted or something, that Virgo's so good about, communicating, saying how they feel, and that makes me really happy. But at the same time, it makes me sad because I don't think I can ever keep up, or maybe they think Virgo is, because I'm hearing that song, You're Too Much for Me, I'm a Worn Out Sail. Is it Steve Forbert? I love that song. It's so pretty. So are you just running away from Virgo because you're stuck in your own head over your own self and what you perceive as the inability to match very well with Virgo? Or are you feeling like you owe Virgo some apology, or are you still wishing that you could interact with Virgo? And we literally have the Six of Pentacles. Here's what I'm going to say. This person is energetically withdrawing from Virgo right now, but it does say that it's, look, I'm sorry, but this person's going to be, even in their own head, even right now, they know this is not the end of the road. Let me just ask, does Virgo, feel this way as well? I mean, we see this as Virgo's retreated. We see Virgo's pretty disappointed and feels like this was an illusion. Virgo feels like at least right now, this is how it is. And Virgo's like, you gave warmth to me. You made me turn around and look your way. That's why it feels like a confusion or disillusionment. I'm wondering actually, let's go with this deck. What is playing out in Virgo's mind right now in regards to all this? The Seven of Wands and the Devil. And Seven of Wands is kind of like tilted downhill. The Devil is tilted upward. I think Virgo's like talking themselves through, I will not get stuck on this. I will not start to ruminate on this. It's interesting because, when we go into hermit mode, we start thinking about stuff. That's where we can say, I'm going to figure out how to handle something. And Virgo's like, I promise myself I will not get, allow this to become a stumbling block. I will not get stuck in my head over this, not over this person, not over this situation. Even if it was disappointing, even if it was like, wow, it seemed like maybe there was a vibe here, but then it just kind of comes full stop. Let me just ask, was Virgo actually dating this person? Or was this more like, the implied, somebody's talking to you and that you're enjoying their company and, get into that rhythm where it's like, Virgo has lunch with them, every day for a month, their work colleagues or something who then clearly are intentionally like touching base with each other. A bond is like building or growing. And then all of a sudden they just like dip. Like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting on this. And when I ask that, we have a Nine of Wands and we have a Nine of Swords. When I'm saying, did Virgo really date this person? I would say, hell no, they did not. It did not get to that point at all. In fact, this was troubled right out of the gate. I don't think anything here was ever stable. Seven of Cups. This was a confusion from the gate. Like this was always a confusion, and even some low grade stress sometimes that Virgo would have. So as much, okay, this kind of makes me think that I'm not sure why Virgo is painting this as like, wow, this person was like really warm toward me, made me turn around and kind of want them, but now it's disappointing because everything we actually see is this was confusing at every turn. This was never straightforward. This was never, I don't think that these two ever got to the point of like, this is what we are doing. We are dating. I am asking you out. I really feel like there was nothing established truly between Virgo and this person. It was more, let's say, implied, right? And that can be kind of the worst kind of disappointment sometimes because it feels like more of a head trip. And maybe that's what Virgo is going through in their head, going like, okay, how much of this did I just imagine? There was no substance to this whatsoever. So why does it feel like I missed out on something? Well, here's the thing, at least from what we saw on their side, they even feel like they owe Virgo an apology, even though with something without substance, because they know that they're hightailing it away. They also know that they're abandoning, and they know that Virgo makes them both happy and also kind of like floods them with this acknowledgement of wherever they're stuck in life. But then they still are sending out the vibe of like, but I'd like to be around Virgo, even while driving away. So this is massive amounts of mixed signals. This is massive amounts of just that frustrating, like, hey, figure yourself out before you mess with somebody else is maybe, the message on this one, because I don't see Virgo like devastated. I see Virgo doubting their own intuition or doubting signs and symbols that they themselves thought they saw. But only to say, I guess I didn't, because it wasn't ever concrete. Many things in life aren't concrete, but there's still an implied, like energy, right? The same way when we're driving our vehicles and, somebody is trying to like change lanes. But again, maybe this is a little murkier because it's like, sometimes, somebody wants to change lane, but they didn't turn on their blinker yet. And this feels like one of those where nobody turned on their blinker, but they kept pace with each other, and they, it just felt like there was a rhythm here that almost seems like it wasn't at the same time. So let me go back over to them real quick. So what is it that you like want? Or Seven of Pentacles in the reverse. I feel like this person is like either tapping out right now. Queen of Cups upright. They want nurturing. They want love. They want Ace of Coins. They want a new beginning. But what do you want from Virgo? Because we still saw you with that Six of Pentacles, Seven of Wands. They want to block Virgo? Or do they want Virgo to come hunt them down, fight for them? Seven of Wands can be fighting to get over the obstacle. Ace of Cups, Lovers in the reverse. They want to be chased. In this story, I'm so sorry, that is the only way I can interpret this. They're running away, saying, "Oh, it's not right that I'm running from Virgo, but I'm not really good enough for Virgo." But then I also feel bad that I'm leaving Virgo high and dry because I know that's not nice. But Virgo doesn't know, like, I get stuck in my own head, and I really want Virgo. I really, really, really want love right now. I really want everything in my life to be a little different. I'd love to be treated gently. God, I wish Virgo would come chase me, fight for me. I wish Virgo would tell me there's nobody else. I wish Virgo would tell me that they love me. But this person seems like they're running away from Virgo. If they're going to run from what they themselves want, but then, and obviously, I mean, they want Virgo, right? Six of Pentacles. They want Virgo to give them their heart. They want Virgo to chase and fight for them and fight to break down their walls. But all of this was already starting out on this very unsteady energy. Then we see them withdrawing while still wishing Virgo would chase. Let's change decks. Let's say, universe, you want to weigh in real quick. What's maybe the outcome for just right now? Short-term outcome is what? Hanged Man. There's going to be some time to mull things over, which is where we saw Virgo already. We see if there's a need to figure this out right now. If this is confusing for Virgo, if this is confusing for themselves, right? We have all these leaves of the forest canopy blocking our view of a very clear blue sky, but it's being unzipped. These characters need a chance, both of them need a chance maybe to think about things. And then maybe talk. It's real hard to have a truthful conversation when we haven't found the truth within ourselves. So it does look like at some point in time, they will communicate to Virgo. We saw that already, right? We saw them with that Page of Cups when I was like, okay, so somebody wants to apologize for running. This is a pretty complicated situation that to me seems a little unnecessarily complicated. But pausing, thinking about things, maybe this is just like a freak out moment or a meltdown moment. And then, there's a time to call time out and just retreat into one's own like emotional corner, get some rest, have some cookies, have some milk. It can be very overwhelming to try to figure out how to be brave enough to do the things we want to do in life. Sometimes we need to retreat. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with pulling back when we need to wrap our head around stuff. And it kind of feels like that's what both of these characters are doing. And as they think about this, I think it's, at least as far as this goes, the short term says they are pulling back, both of them. That's okay. Virgo's in hermit mode. This other character seems to be withdrawing, even running away for a little bit. That's all right. Maybe this, when I say short term, I'm thinking like weeks, not months. But after that, we have dialogue. And after that, we may have a bond that actually strengthens. Sometimes the reason we withdraw from something is to catch our breath, and then we can come back in having, assimilated our thoughts, having come to some conclusions, and now finding the right vocabulary or being in a different energy. All I can say is that this storyline is not over. This storyline is also not one that's intended to cause grief or pain. This person is not trying to mess with Virgo. It just kind of seemed that way for a bit because, it's uncertainty. But this is there is a need for this energetic time out. And that's actually a good thing right now. From what I can see, that's a good thing. Like I say, it's nap time, milk and cookies, get the energy settled again. Don't feel so overwhelmed, and then come back to connect again and reevaluate things. And actually, I think that's when this becomes a much more straightforward conversation. And we saw the teacup, we saw speaking truth on that page of cups, followed by the strength card, strong Leo energy. So I don't know, maybe this will still happen during, either Lionsgate or just during Leo season, but we do have the energy of like strengthening a bond after this. So all right, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.